Sis, Cade had this dress custom made just for you. I'm so jealous of you, you have such a thoughtful boyfriend. I drifted for a second, my vision slowly sharpening into focus. Chloe Lockwood, the fake heiress, held the dress box with a sweet smile, but there was no hiding the mockery and triumph in her eyes. It took me years to learn the truth in my past life, that gown was stitched to her measurements, not mine. She'd wheedled her childhood friend into making hers first so she could try it on, then lined the inside with a thick layer of peach fuzz. I stared blankly at the delicate peach-pink gown on the table. In my last life, I'd practically torn the box open and slipped it on as fast as I could. But I'd immediately realized it was tight, far too tight, nothing close to my size. Worse, my skin started prickling and itching all over the second I put it on, so I'd planned to change into something else. Chloe had talked me out of it, saying I shouldn't let Cade's thoughtfulness go to waste. Now, seeing me frozen for so long, she put on the exact same expression she'd worn back then. Sis, don't you like it? It's such a pretty dress, come on, try it on. Looking at her fake innocence turned my stomach. I lifted an eyebrow. You want it? Then it's yours. I picked up the gown by the hanger and tossed it straight at her. Chloe's face went white. She stumbled back, but she couldn't resist jabbing at me. But this is Cade's gift to you. How can you just throw it away like that? I let out a cold laugh. I stepped forward, grabbed her arm, and started shoving the dress onto her myself. What are you running from? You were so worried about wasting Cade's feelings, weren't you? Then put it on. Don't let it go to waste. She was much skinnier than me and had no strength to break free. The dress fit her perfectly, hugging every curve like it was made for her, because it was. And I made sure every last bit of that peach fuzz from the lining shook right onto her face. Chloe let out a shrill, piercing scream. Ah! My face, it burns. Let go of my sister. Ethan Lockwood burst through the door at the sound. One look at the scene and he kicked me so hard I flew 6 feet back, crumpling to the floor. I curled up on the ground, clutching my stomach, a low groan escaping my lips. It hurt. But compared to the agony I'd endured in my last life, this was nothing. Margaret Lockwood walked in at the noise. Chloe was in agony, scratching furiously at her skin, but she still managed to put on her teary-eyed goody-two-shoes act. Mom, don't be mad at her. She didn't mean to hurt me. Please don't kick her out of the Lockwood house, it's all my fault. I'm sorry, sis. Ethan ate it right up. His face twisted with pity. Chloe, you're too nice. You're still defending her even now? I say she's just rude and has no manners at all. Margaret looked displeased too. She tenderly pulled out wet wipes to soothe Chloe's stinging skin, then glanced over at me with a flicker of irritation in her eyes. Before she could speak, I blinked back tears, my voice tight with stubbornness. Right. I never even had a home. How would I know what manners are? Margaret's expression shifted. A flicker of guilt and pity crossed her face. Ethan lost his temper. He pointed at me and yelled. Quit playing the victim. My sister's the one who's hurt. You apologize right now, or you'll never set foot in this house again. Mom, look at how she acts. If she moves in, who knows how badly she'll bully Chloe. Margaret hesitated again, then spoke carefully. Tessa, your father and I love all of our children equally. You don't have to fight for attention like this. Apologize to your sister, and we'll let this go. All right? So she was just going to ignore the facts and decide I was in the wrong? That I was just fighting for affection? I laughed bitterly inside. On the surface, I looked shocked and hurt. But it's not my fault. Why should I apologize? Ethan exploded again. Not your fault? The dress was yours, and you forced Chloe to wear it. You hurt her, and you still say you're not to blame? But, sister brought the dress to me. If there's something wrong with it, how is that my problem? Ethan froze, his face turning bright red with rage. Margaret caught on quickly too. Just then, Chloe burst into tears. "Mom, my whole body stings so bad. What do I do? It hurts so much." Ethan immediately softened, cooing over her and rushing to call the doctor. He shot me a vicious glare over his shoulder, like he was promising I'd pay for this. In my last life, when I'd been covered in hives and writhing in pain, he hadn't felt an ounce of sympathy. He'd just told me to hurry up and get to the event, like I was an inconvenience. It felt like he'd seen me as an enemy from the very start, terrified I'd show up and hurt his precious Chloe. Back then, I'd done everything to prove I wouldn't hurt her. I'd stepped back, given up projects I was leading, turned down an honorary professorship. I'd fought for nothing, asked for nothing. And in the end, I'd been left with absolutely nothing. Margaret looked torn. In my last life, even when I'd been framed for one terrible thing after another, Margaret had never quite been able to bring herself to be fully cruel to me. But Chloe had worn her down, little by little. Eventually, that mother who'd always felt a flicker of pity for me had started looking at me with cold, annoyed eyes. I pushed down the ache in my chest and put on a fragile but stubborn face. I took off the jewelry Margaret had given me. "You don't have to kick me out. I'll leave on my own." I paused as I walked past her, my eyes full of disappointment. After all, I've been on my own for so many years. I'm used to it. But I'm grateful I got to see my birth parents at least once. "Goodbye, Mom." Margaret froze. I kept walking. When I reached the door, she finally called out. "Wait." That one word told me I'd won. Margaret's guilt would be the sharpest weapon in my hand. In the end, the whole thing was brushed under the rug. I didn't apologize. Neither did they. Ethan took Chloe to the hospital, and Margaret helped me change into a new gown. Margaret had excellent taste. I traded my usual plain, girl-next-door look for a tailored silk sheath dress and a strand of smooth, lustrous pearls. It was elegant, with a hint of playful charm. At the Welcome Home Gala, everyone's eyes lit up with surprise. They praised my poise and grace, saying I was every bit a Lockwood by blood. Henry Lockwood, who cared deeply about appearances, couldn't stop smiling the whole night. Photos of me went viral overnight. I'd already had a small following from a low-budget web series, but those iconic photos blew me up even more. They even sent Lockwood Group's stock price soaring. That night, Henry was over the moon. "Just like her father," he kept saying. He handed me a Centurion card and told me to change my last name legally. "From now on, you're a Lockwood heiress. You need to mind your image. Cut ties with whatever old connections you have, if you can. Tessa Lockwood. You have much bigger things ahead of you." He looked like a loving father with high hopes for his daughter. But after being reborn, I knew exactly what those bigger things meant, a strategic marriage alliance. He thought Cade was a bastard son, not good enough for the Lockwoods. He thought I could help Lockwood Group climb even higher, forge ties with even wealthier families. All this kindness now? It was only because he saw what I could do for him. In my last life, when I'd humiliated him, he'd treated me worse than a stray dog. He'd disowned me entirely, and let Chloe spread lies that I was a gold-digging fraud who'd faked being the lost daughter. When I'd lost my twins and fallen apart, he'd acted like I didn't even exist. But I took the card anyway. I wasn't stupid. Then, right in front of his approving eyes, I texted Cade and broke up with him. Henry was pleased by how quickly I caught on. He started introducing me to directors. I landed a supporting female lead role, one that had gone to Chloe in my last life. That role had made her famous overnight, catapulted her into the ranks of rising A-list starlets, been her first step toward becoming an A-list actress. This time around? Sorry, but I'll take it. Chloe came home 3 days later. When she found out I'd gotten the role she'd wanted so badly, she looked like she wanted to tear me apart. But she put on her sweet, obedient act instead. She had the nannies bring me fruit and snacks every day, and kept saying she wanted us to be the best sisters in the world. I almost laughed. I watched her put on her little show and said nothing. One morning, Chloe suddenly looked panicked. "My diamond tennis bracelet is gone." Ethan jumped in right away. "The one Mom bought at auction for over $100,000? That's the one." "Sniff, how could I lose it? It's all my fault, I should have put it away properly." Margaret was eating breakfast. She smiled gently. "Silly girl. If you lost it, you lost it. It's not that expensive." Chloe pressed her lips together, looking hurt. Ethan made a pointed comment. "It might not be much money to us Lockwoods, but to some people? It's a fortune. I bet someone here took it." Henry looked up and gave him a sharp glance. Margaret frowned. "Enough. Eat your breakfast." It didn't have the effect Chloe wanted. Tears started rolling down her face. It was like a signal. Ethan slammed his chopsticks down. "No. I'm going to find the thief." He ordered the nannies to search everyone's rooms. Henry and Margaret put their chopsticks down, their faces dark with anger. Ethan was too caught up in his own outrage to notice. "The Lockwood family will not have a thief in this house." He kept going, getting more and more worked up, completely unaware that Henry and Margaret were at their breaking point. Just as Ethan was about to accuse me outright, Henry snapped. He reached across the table and slapped him hard across the face. Both of them stared, stunned. One of the nannies spoke up, perfectly timed. "Mr. Lockwood, Miss Lockwood had security cameras installed in her bedroom." Silence. Ethan went deathly pale. His mouth hung open, like he'd been struck dumb. Chloe looked shocked too, like she couldn't believe I'd pull something like that. "You two think long and hard about what you've done," Henry said coldly, and left. All the fight went out of them. They looked at me with even more hatred than before. I acted like I didn't notice. Sometimes I even went out of my way to provoke them. Like when Chloe reached for a serving dish, I'd slide it just out of her reach. When she tried to get the whole family to go to the Maldives with her, I'd suggest they all come see my play instead. After a few rounds of this, she seethed with hatred for me. Finally, she saw her chance. When no one else was home, she kicked my door open. "Tessa Reed, you are such a bitch. You think just because Mom and Dad are on your side, we can't touch you? Guess what? Ethan already took down those cameras. Today I'm going to teach you a lesson. Show you who's really in charge of this house." Chloe had finally dropped the act. She marched right in and raised her hand to slap me. She thought I was still that doormat who'd take whatever she dished out. She thought she could walk all over me. She didn't expect that before her hand even came down, I'd already kicked her square in the face. All she knew how to do was pull hair and scratch with her fancy manicured nails. I treated her like a punching bag. Chloe screamed in pain. "Ethan! She's trying to kill me." A minute later, Ethan showed up. To his credit, the strength difference between men and women was real. It didn't take long for him to pin me to the floor and kick me over and over. "You think just because you're back, you get to be my sister? In your dreams. I've hated your face since we were kids. You think you got lost? No. I was the one who got rid of you. And I can't believe you actually had the nerve to come back." I'd already known that. When Ethan was born, Mom and Dad had been busy building their business. They'd left him with his grandparents out in the country. By the time I was born, the family was wealthy. They'd brought him home. To them, I'd been their first real taste of parenthood. They'd doted on me, spoiled me rotten, and Ethan had resented me for it. So he'd pretended to take me out for candy, and abandoned me instead. Ethan was ranting, caught up in his own rage, when he suddenly heard Henry's voice. "You animal." He panicked, looking around wildly. That's when he saw the camera light on my laptop was on. Henry's face was on the screen. Dad, it's not what you think. I wasn't bullying her, she started it, she attacked Chloe first. I was just trying to teach her a lesson. Ethan babbled excuses, but the call had already ended. 20 minutes later, Henry and Margaret stormed through the door. Before Ethan could say a word, Henry pointed a finger at him and yelled. I knew you were no good. He yelled, but he never raised a hand to hit him. Fine. If he wouldn't do it, I'd push him too. I wiped away the tears that weren't really there and started quietly packing my things. Where are you going? Margaret noticed right away and rushed to stop me. Your brother didn't mean it. He just needs time to adjust. I gently pushed her hand away. I know. I forced a weak smile. I just don't want him to be unhappy because of me. Chloe thought I was actually leaving. There was a bright, happy glint in her eyes. Margaret had been about to ask her to talk me out of it, but when she saw that look on Chloe's face, her expression darkened. I didn't say anything else. I just reached down and picked up a ragged old stuffed toy. When Margaret saw it, her eyes filled with pain. It was the toy I'd been holding the day I disappeared. She'd picked it out for me herself. Just looking at it brought back all the memories of me as a baby, sweet and tiny. You're not going anywhere. Margaret's eyes welled up. She pulled me into a tight hug, no room for argument. No one gets to hurt my daughter. Even Henry, always so stoic, was reminded of that pure, overwhelming joy he'd felt when he first became a father. His face softened. When he looked at Ethan again, his eyes were full of disappointment and anger. In the end, on my suggestion, Ethan was sent to a brutal behavior modification camp notorious for electroshock discipline. Once he's been through some hardship, he'll be able to take responsibility for Lockwood Group someday. Henry nodded firmly, like he thought it was a great idea. Ethan lost his mind. He screamed that I was ruthless and vindictive, that I just wanted to steal the family fortune. He got another slap from Henry. Utterly disgraceful. Your sister is looking out for your future, and you dare accuse her of such a thing? You're completely out of line. You need to go there and learn some respect, before you embarrass this family any further. Ethan panicked and tried to run, but there was no escaping it. Henry's word was law in the Lockwood house. As they dragged him away, I waved and smiled. Hang in there, brother. Your best days are still ahead of you. He had no idea just how literal I meant that. Ever since I'd broken up with him, I'd blocked Cade everywhere. He'd tried to corner me a few times, but my assistant always turned him away. I got home one day to find him sitting on my couch. He tapped his long fingers on the table, checking his watch, until the clock struck 12. I walked in laughing and talking with a male friend from the set. When Cade saw us, his eyes darkened with a storm of emotion. What is this supposed to mean? He pulled me to his side like he was staking a claim, glaring at my friend with open hostility. I wrenched my hand away immediately. I should be asking you that. What are you doing in my house in the middle of the night? Looking for Chloe? Cade gritted his teeth, holding back his temper. I'm not here for her. I'm here for you. Didn't we break up? I don't agree to it. I laughed. I wasn't going to waste my breath. I just called security. Cade panicked and reached for me, but my friend slapped his hand away. Security showed up right after and dragged a furious Cade out. He stared at me, seething with resentment. What's going on between you and this guy? Tessa, are you cheating on me? I didn't bother answering. I had no idea what he was so worked up about. Once I was done with Chloe, he was next. I didn't think much of the incident. Chloe, though, had filmed the whole thing. She was about to send it to Margaret when she caught me looking at her. She flinched, like she'd been burned. I smiled and lifted an eyebrow. What's wrong, sis? Go ahead and send it. Who knows what'll happen if you do, right? Chloe immediately thought about how all her other schemes had backfired. She hovered her finger over the send button again and again, but she never dared press it. Half a month later, Ethan was released early. Rumor had it he'd had health issues and been rushed to the hospital. The day he came home, he was pale as a sheet and walked funny. I asked after him, pretending to be concerned. He clenched his fists, too afraid to say anything to me in front of his parents. The look on his face was priceless. Seeing him so thoroughly broken gave me no end of satisfaction. And this was just the beginning. Ethan saw my amused little smile and got even angrier. Don't get cocky. We'll see who gets the last laugh. At dinner that night, Chloe looked sweetly at Margaret and asked if she could join a reality show with me. Margaret turned to me for my opinion. Chloe twisted her fingers nervously. Please, sis. I really want to do this with you. Henry didn't care either way. To him, neither daughter mattered more than what they could do for Lockwood Group. And as for the heir? It had always been Ethan, and only Ethan. In my last life, Chloe had debuted riding on my coattails, going by Little Tessa. She'd flooded the tabloids with press releases framing her as the more stunning one, built her whole career on trashing my name and milking my misfortune for clout. Looks like Chloe was getting desperate. She was willing to grovel to me just to piggyback on my fame and launch her career. Knowing what she had planned, I almost laughed. If she was so desperate to claw her way up to fame, I'd give her a little push. I set down my fork and smiled, agreeing. Chloe let out a visible sigh of relief. Ethan smirked, like he'd already won. The next day, we were both dropped off at the set of a pseudo-live reality show set at a farm-to-table bistro. Chloe was right at home there. The director and crew all kissed up to her, and the other cast members, young actors and veteran stars alike, sucked up to her too. At first, she kept up her little angel act, even trying to play up sapphic tension between us for the cameras. But when the first episode aired, I was the one everyone loved. People talked about my charming personality contrast, this gorgeous, sharp-featured girl who could cook like a pro. Chloe got barely any attention. There were even a handful of mean comments saying no one knew why she was there, that she just acted dumb and useless. She was so mad she made 10 fake accounts and spent 3 days straight arguing with every bad comment. By the second episode, Chloe couldn't hold back anymore. She started contradicting everything I said. But with the magic of editing, it came across like I was the one being cruel to her, backed up by all these dramatic, menacing sound effects. When the episode aired, everyone felt bad for Chloe. I got flooded with bad reviews. Wait, does anyone else think Tessa is being mean to her sister? Oh my god, I can't believe Tessa's like this. Her sister asks her if the dress looks nice and she just laughs at her? Chloe's such an angel for not even getting mad about it. I turned on the episode and my jaw dropped. Even with a second life, I'd never seen editing this ruthless. They could twist anything into anything. Black could become white, no problem. Chloe loved the taste of victory. She got bolder. When it was my turn to run the kitchen, she'd deliberately get in the way. When I was cutting fruit, she'd pretend to trip and fall, then cry and ask why I was treating her like this. By the third episode, I was getting torn apart online. My DMs were full of haters spewing venom. Chloe, meanwhile, was drowning in kindness. Strangers were falling in love with her and becoming sympathy fans. That's when I found out the show was backed by Ethan and Cade. Cade found me privately. Beg me, and I'll make the hate online calm down a little. I was already annoyed, and that just made it worse. I leaned back in my chair and lifted an eyebrow, amused. So you're saying you control what the audience sees? All this live reality stuff, it's just editing tricks? Cade's expression was dark, unapologetic. I just don't want to see Chloe hurt. Why do you have to fight her for everything? You have your parents, your brother, me. She's working so hard just to earn her place in this family. If you drop out of the show now, I won't make you pay the penalty fee. And I'll marry you. I stood up so fast my chair scraped the floor. I picked up my coffee cup and threw the whole thing in his face. Cade Rivers. Who the hell do you think you are? It made me sick to my stomach. I turned and walked out. Cade's calm voice followed me. You'll regret this. I'll wait for you to come crawling back, begging for my help. Ethan came to warn me too. I just smiled and asked how his best days were going, enjoying the way his handsome face turned red then black with rage. For the 4th episode, I faked a depressive episode and showed up late. Anyone with eyes could tell I was in a bad way. My retreat made Chloe even more arrogant. On camera, she'd film a few cutesy clips then hide in her room scrolling on her phone. Off camera, she treated me like her personal assistant, made me bring her tea, wash her socks, take out her trash. Even Cade told her to tone it down. Chloe just pouted and shook his arm. I just want to feel like my big sister actually cares about me. Is that so wrong? She looked so pitiful, Cade caved and said nothing else. That night, Chloe demanded a private room again, like it was her right. Everyone was used to it by now, but something felt off to me. She only ever got a private room when Cade stayed over, and tonight was his grandfather's birthday, there was no way he'd be there. I snuck past the cameras and got up in the middle of the night to go to Chloe's door. That's when I saw Ethan. I peeked inside and froze at what I saw. I'd thought their relationship was just inappropriate flirting, but this was something else entirely. I pulled out my phone and recorded it all. This evidence would be enough to get both of them thrown out of the house by image-obsessed Henry. But if I didn't make this public, they'd probably just make me sign an NDA and sweep it under the rug. I needed this video to have maximum impact. After the 4th episode aired, I got torn apart online all over again. There was even a hashtag trending telling me to quit entertainment. I acted like I was falling apart. I passed out on set and was rushed to the hospital, diagnosed with somatic depression. And people online still found things to hate on, my fake faint, my pale makeup. They wished I'd just die already. Henry wasn't happy either. He told me to quit the industry immediately. I sighed, defeated. I signed on to this show with Chloe. They handled all the contracts. If I drop out now, I owe the production $140 million in penalties. Henry was so furious he screamed at Chloe for ages, right in front of her. He threw vases across the room, and a shard of porcelain cut her cheek. She broke down sobbing. Ethan and Margaret tried to calm him down. But Henry demanded Chloe apologize to me. Chloe refused and went on a hunger strike. The whole thing blew up on social media. Some insider leaked details, and sure enough, I got dragged for it again. I was in bed reading game theory when Chloe burst into my room. She saw the book and scoffed. Putting on quite the show. She held up her hand, flashing a diamond ring on her finger. So what if you got mom and dad on your side? Cade proposed to me. I smiled and closed my book. And when are you going to get out of this house? Don't you get it? You're the one who doesn't belong here. I laughed again. Chloe got bolder. She raised her hand to slap me. I guess it had been too long since I'd put her in her place. She'd forgotten I wasn't some doormat she could walk all over. Right as her hand came down, I grabbed her wrist and yanked her toward me. I leaned in and whispered, low enough only she could hear. What do you think would happen if everyone found out about you and Ethan? I pulled out my phone and showed her a screenshot of the video. Chloe's eyes went wide. Her face went white as a sheet and she lunged for the phone. I tightened my grip. Behave. If I'm showing you this, it means this isn't the only copy. Chloe, I don't get why you're so fixated on me. Don't you know there's only one heir to the Lockwood fortune? And it's Ethan. Chloe bit her lip, staring at me with pure hatred. I want love. I'm not like you. Love? What's so great about love? I'd tried to warn her, but it was useless. You can't reason with someone who won't listen. Love fades. Only power and money last. I let go of her wrist and told her to stay out of my way, or the whole world would find out. After that, Chloe was a lot quieter. She didn't dare boss me around on set anymore, walking on eggshells the whole time. Naturally, when the episode aired, I got even more haters. But something I didn't expect happened. The show let a hater into the studio audience. When I was up on stage doing a performance bit, they kicked a ladder out from under me. I fell. Thankfully the floor was padded, so I wasn't hurt. But I pretended to pass out anyway and got taken to the hospital. For the 3 days I was unconscious, everything blew up. First, insiders leaked what Chloe was really like on set. Dozens of unedited audio clips and videos got out. The internet lost its mind. It was chaos. Oh my God, thank God those audios came out. Chloe's such a good actress. She's the one who starts fights with Tessa, but the editing makes it look like Tessa's bullying her? Did the editors get paid off? This is insane. If those audios never came out, Tessa would have taken all the blame for nothing? We spent 3 seasons hating on her for no reason? Wait, I heard Chloe has connections. This is gross. So the spoiled rich girl with backing is Chloe? I'm so mad. Before that could even die down, something else broke. Someone found my Finsta. It went from bright, happy posts at the beginning, to getting sadder and darker every day after I joined the show. I really don't know what I did wrong. It feels like nothing I do is right, maybe there's something wrong with me. Ugh, I'm actually a nice person, I swear. Please stop being mean to me. Can't you be gentle? It hurts so bad. Someone please help me. Every word hurt. Add in the $140 million penalty fee, the unfair contract. And the tide turned completely. Fans demanded the show be cancelled. I didn't have to pay the penalty anymore. People dug up my whole life story too. Lost at age 2, raised by a childless 60-year-old widow. Top of her class her whole life, worked hard to get by. Started tutoring and modeling at 14 to support her family. Graduated top of her district with a perfect GPA and got into an Ivy League university at 18. Paid for a major surgery at 20. Lost her foster mom to illness at 21. She had no family after that. At 22, she caught her birth parents' attention after winning an award and was brought home. Only to be bullied so badly by the family's adopted daughter that she developed severe depression. The beautiful, broken and badass narrative wrote itself. I gained thousands of stans overnight, and even casual viewers felt for me. Henry and Margaret were racked with guilt. Over Ethan's protests, they transferred half the company's shares directly to me. The day I was released from the hospital, my movie premiered. I got more love and attention than I'd ever dreamed of. It broke box office records in just a few days, became the surprise hit of the year. Scripts came flooding in. Henry and Margaret were over the moon. They planned the biggest celebration party for me. But for every person celebrating, there was someone seething. Chloe put on a brave face every day, and kept bringing me drugged juice and milk to my room. I always poured it down the drain. And I slipped some fertility hormones into her body lotion, little by little. After a while, she started acting frisky, even in public. The night of the celebration party, Chloe came up to me privately to toast. "Sis, I was wrong about everything before. Drink this, and let's bury the hatchet, okay?" When I took the glass without suspecting a thing, a flash of excitement crossed her eyes. I knew exactly what was in it. I brought the glass to my lips, then smiled and handed it back to her. "You're the younger one. You drink first." Chloe froze. She turned to run. I grabbed her face and forced her to drink it. Less than 10 seconds later, her face flushed bright red. The stuff was strong. Guess a leopard really can't change its spots. If she couldn't stop herself, she might as well have a bigger dose. I watched her run out of the room and straight into Ethan's arms. They clung to each other, desperate, and headed upstairs to the music room. Probably thought no one would bother them there. I smiled to myself. I fixed my dress and walked the red carpet with my assistant, soaking up all the attention. I even wore a wearable POV camera the movie director had given me, for a little bonus behind-the-scenes content. Tonight, I'm gonna show you guys around my house. This is my bedroom, okay, no peeking, it's a mess in there. Upstairs is the music room. When I was little, everyone said I had long fingers, that I'd be good at piano. I never got to learn back then. Now that I can? Turns out I'm terrible at it. Can't remember a single note. That piano pic I posted on Instagram? Total pose. I'll show you, come on. I slowly pushed the door open. There were 3 people inside. Chloe was huddled on the piano bench, clothes askew, face flushed. Anyone with eyes knew what she'd been up to. And Ethan and Cade were in the middle of a fistfight. 3 people, tangled up in the most chaotic 3-way entanglement scene you could imagine. I let out a shocked scream and fainted dead away. When I fainted, everyone came rushing upstairs. They all saw it, every last messy detail. When I woke up, I heard a lot had happened while I was out. Image-obsessed Henry couldn't stop the photos from leaking. Faced with all the rumors and gossip, he had a stroke and ended up in the ICU. When he came out, he was half paralyzed. That sharp, ambitious businessman was gone, replaced by a frail, ordinary old man. Margaret looked like she'd aged 10 years. She still cared about Chloe, but she resented her for ruining everything. She gave Chloe a sum of money and sent her abroad to school, telling her never to come back. As for Cade? After the scandal broke, his father disowned him immediately. That rich, entitled playboy was reduced to working a regular job. But he still acted like he owned the place, kept picking fights, and got beaten up every other week. When Ethan took over the company, he tried to get back at me. He hired trolls to trash me online, invested heavily in my rivals just to make sure I failed. He spent hundreds of millions in just a few months. Bad management left the company cash-strapped. I took the chance and quietly bought up more than 10% of the shares. Right when he was about to greenlight a rival movie to compete with mine, he got fired. That's when he found out I owned way more shares than he did. From that day on, I had full control of Lockwood Group. Henry and Margaret weren't happy about it, though. Lockwood Group will always belong to the Lockwoods. Your brother was spoiled by us. Don't hold it against him. You're both blood. You can't let things get this bad between you. To be fair, in this life, they hadn't been all bad to me. They'd even stood up for me a few times. But I wasn't that girl anymore, the one who'd cry tears of gratitude for even a crumb of love. I didn't need their love anymore. Especially not the scraps they tossed my way. I calmly put on my sunglasses. I looked down at them, my voice soft but final. Thanks for the advice. Starting today, Lockwood Group is being renamed Reed Group. As for Ethan, he's an adult. He can take responsibility for his own actions. I picked up my bag and walked out, leaving Henry's furious shouts behind me. 2 weeks later, Ethan was found guilty of defamation. Then he was charged with attempted assault against me and sentenced to prison. Before they locked him up, he grabbed the bars and snarled at me. Tessa Reed, you bitch. This isn't over. When I get out, I'll make your life a living hell. Even if it kills me. I smiled at that. Why so negative, brother? What did I tell you? Your best days are still ahead of you. A cold, visceral dread coiled in Ethan's gut. His hand flew to his lower back in panic, but his cuffs made it impossible. Listening to him scream and rage, I felt nothing but pure satisfaction. Another perfect day.